Matt being the Iowa State Chairman, we're just so thrilled to be with Ted Cruz. And what you're seeing, not only in Osage, but across Iowa, is that he's uniting conservatives all over the place, in Iowa and across the country. On Monday, Dr. James Dobson was with me because he's all in for Ted Cruz because he believes Ted Cruz will be best for the family in America. That is exciting to have Dr. James Dobson with us. You know, in 1979, President Ronald Reagan, or then candidate Ronald Reagan, in announcing for president, he said, "I believe this country hungers and thirsts for a spiritual revival."
Amen.
And I believe in 2016, we could echo those comments that this country hungers and thirsts for a spiritual revival.
Amen.
If we're going to have that type of spiritual revival, we turn our hearts back to God, His principles, and His precepts. First of all, it has to begin in the house of the Lord, the church. It needs to be in our families, but also needs to be in the institution of government. 2016 is exceptionally important. As important as it is, electing the right candidate in Ted Cruz is still like putting a finger in the dike. It's going to hold the dike, but the dike needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be rebuilt. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to echo the words of my dad. My dad was part of the World War II generation. They called that the greatest generation. And what made them great is they put the cause of the country above themselves and they stood in the gap when their country needed them. Right now, our country needs you to stand in the gap. Our country needs you to put the cause of this country above yourself and to show leadership in electing Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is going to go to D.C. and he's going to stand in the gap on behalf of us. So if you want a president that'll stand in the gap for the sanctity of human life, from conception to natural death, I'd say stand with Ted Cruz. If you want to have a candidate that'll stand in the gap for marriage and family as God designed it and intended it, with one man and one woman, I would say stand with Ted Cruz. If you want to have a candidate who believes that it's the rights of the parents to raise and nurture the children and not the government, I'd say stand with Ted Cruz. Here's the deal. By you standing in the gap, you're going to get to the caucus on February 1. But not only are you going to go to the caucus on February 1, you're going to bring everybody you know with you. That's how important this is. The whole world, the whole country is watching what Iowa's going to do. When I was in Israel less than a year ago, a senior advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu pulled me aside. He found out I was from Iowa and he said 2 words to me. He said, "Choose well." Choose well. They're watching what we're going to do. When we launch Ted Cruz out of Iowa, I believe he's going to become the nominee. And when he becomes a nominee, I can't wait for him to debate Hillary Clinton. And I believe he defeats Hillary Clinton. He becomes the next president of the United States that embraces our values, embraces the foundation, and I think we are going to see a revival in this country like none other. So stand in the gap for Ted Cruz. Now let me introduce a very good friend of mine, the 4th District Congressman, also the national co-chair of Ted Cruz's campaign as well, the 4th District Congressman, Steve King.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. I like Bob's enthusiasm, and we've been on the bus before running around the state. When the judges on the state Supreme Court thought that they could rewrite law, we went to work, and we thought that tongue-lashing those justices was pretty good sport, and you all thought we ought to kick 3 of them off the bench, and you kicked them off the bench. Thank you. God bless you for doing it. That sent a message to the rest of the country, and by the next morning before the sun came up, every judge in America knew what happened to the 3 Supreme Court justices in Iowa. And a week later, actually before the sun set, every lawyer in America knew it too. That sent a powerful, powerful message. We have an opportunity to send a far more powerful message out of Iowa now. And I want to tell you that each one of you have more to say about who will be the next president of the United States on a per capita basis than anybody in the whole United States of America. Iowa caucus goers, especially Iowa Republican caucus goers, because we will elect a Republican this year. We're going to get that done. And Hillary, I'm actually not that worried about Hillary. She's got so many holes in her boat. And a lot more are going to get poked in before she'd ever get to November. I will tell you one thing that I think is important for you to pay attention to, and that's this, that when the Benghazi incident happened, September 11th, 2012, you all remember Susan Rice went before the 5 television networks the following Sunday, and she repeated and told America a whole bunch of lies. Well, the following Thursday was September 20th. They called a special conference, a classified meeting, to hear and be briefed by Hillary Clinton and James Clapper on what actually happened in Benghazi. Now, when you go into a classified briefing, in that briefing, you expect you're going to get the unadulterated truth. And I did not believe that it was a video, and I did not believe Susan Rice, but I cannot tell you what's said in a classified briefing. But I can tell you this: we got the same lies that Susan Rice said the Sunday before. And I can't think of anything that disqualifies somebody from being president of the United States other than lying to the United States Congress in a classified briefing and a situation of high-level security that isn't resolved yet to this day. So please, we got a lot to do. We got to get the right president nominated and then get the right president elected. And you sent me off to Washington, and I realize I'm a little outside of my district. I joke, I got no responsibility to anybody in here anymore. No, this is so much fun. I can't get over it. And but everything I do is it affects you as if you were living inside the district. The only difference is